Hey everyone, welcome to another Dapr community call. This is number 114. It's November 27, 2024, and I'm Mark Dijker, one of the Dapr community managers. Big thank you to Diagrid for sponsoring the community call. They are taking care of the live streaming platform. So we are live streaming to YouTube. That is the best place to be because you can actually interact with us via the chat there. We're streaming to LinkedIn and to X. So it took a while since the previous community call because 2 weeks ago we were at KubeCon in Salt Lake City. Please leave us a message in the chat if you were there as well. Salt Lake City, either at App DeveloperCon or one of the other co-located events, or the main event. Or leave a message if you are planning to go to KubeCon in London in 2025. I'm definitely going to be there as well. So let's have a look at the agenda for today. So first up, we have Waldo talking about simplifying registration of workflows and activities. He's going to give a live demo there. Then I'm talking about the State of Dapr survey. And I have like a very big section of community show and tell today because, well, it's been a couple of weeks since I did the last update. So I've got lots of stuff to share there. But first, let's welcome Waldo. Hey, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited for your demo. So
Wonderful.
I'll share the screen and then you're good to go.
Great. So hi, I'm Whit Waldo. I'm one of the Dapr.net SDK maintainers. Today I'm going to show off a tool that I wrote that kind of simplifies kind of maintenance of workflows and activities. It is implemented as an aspect. So some quick technical background here. So it's implemented using a tool called MetaLlama. That is a tool by PostSharp that lets you write aspects that generate code. So in some respects, they're like source generators and analyzers, and that they operate at both design and compile time. But again, like a source generator, it is generating code that you can then use in the rest of your project. So this tool is going to essentially automatically discover all workflows and workflow activities in your project and any transient project references. So I guess a caveat to mention, this tool is only available for .NET projects, and MetaLlama itself works best in Visual Studio, not Rider or other IDEs. But put simply, as you can see in my little demo here, you likely have, as you play around with workflows, you likely will wind up with a scenario where you wind up with a lot of workflows and their associated activities in your project. So today in .NET, you have to register each of these with dependency injection. If you don't have a registered activity that you wind up using, you risk a runtime error that is otherwise very difficult to detect. But of course, maintaining these registrations can be quite cumbersome if you've got a bunch of them. So I kind of just put together a demo showing just 6 different workflows and a bunch of activities for each of them. None of them will do anything. I'm not actually going to demo workflows running today, but it's just to kind of convey that you can wind up with a lot of these registrations, and especially as you make changes to them, you say, hey, I need to add activities, I need to remove activities. It's very likely that you'll make those changes to your project and completely forget to update the registrations here. So that's kind of where this tool is useful. So while this will build and it will work if everything were running, the idea for this aspect is that it implements a MetaLlama aspect that will simply automatically discover all these. That's going to be different than how a lot of .NET tools work today, in that because the aspect itself runs at compile time, this avoids the more typical reflection-based approach, which is desirable because that will delay application startup. So the idea is, if it's reflection-based, it's going to scan your assembly when the application loads up, register whatever it is that you're looking for. But again, that time, recent .NET versions have really focused on reducing application startup time. So eliminating reflection is a key step in avoiding that. You've got all the time in the world at compile time. And so this essentially just moves that registration from application startup and puts that at compile time instead. So I guess, yeah, we can just kind of see real quickly what that looks like. We would modify our project to include this. I'll show the GitHub package here in a little bit. But we add that to our project. We don't need that tab. We can comment all of these out because we won't need those anymore. And we will simply rebuild this project once so that we don't need these. We'll go ahead and comment those out, and we just delete those. Okay, we'll let that finish building. That's just so that the aspect itself has a chance to run and do what it does. It's implemented using a fabric, and a fabric is a Metalama tool that essentially allows you to take an aspect, and where in a source generator you typically have to tag whatever the target is of your source generator with an attribute. A fabric essentially allows you to instead describe the shape of what it is that your attribute should run against, and then apply it via a code file. So in other words, by simply installing the NuGet package, the tool is already there and ready to go. So we will implement by adding a using statement for it right there. You'll find that in a second. And we'll replace the Dapr workflow with, it'll essentially, so what we'll do under the hood is it's going to inject this static class. And so instead of passing in the delegate to retrieve, provide the Dapr workflow options and register these activities and workflows on that, instead we'll simply pass this delegate to it and register all the entities. Now, if I go and look at the source code, there's going to be nothing in here. Unfortunately, this is going to be just part of the debugging experience of it. You can kind of see the shape of what it's generating. So it's going to generate and insert the Dapr registration helper as a partial into this namespace, and then it'll actually populate all these things. So since we have that in there, we'll go ahead and build this one more time. And Metalama does have a mode that allows you to kind of kick out what the files are that it generates. So we can't view the source to look at it, but I happen to have this file already open. And so you can see the output that's discovered all the using statements that we had on the previous page. And it's not in order, but these are all the workflows and all the activities that we otherwise had. And so by simply installing this package, you automatically get the discovery of workflows and activities in this project and in any project references, if I had any. And with one line, you can just kind of rest easy knowing that all your registrations are there every time. So I guess two final notes on this. Licensing. So this is a commercial tool. As a Dapr.net maintainer, this is not some official project associated with Dapr. This is a independent tool that I get a lot of value out of. Maybe you can too. They have a free edition. So you'll need a license to use this. They have a website up. I guess we can share that URL. I don't know if you can somehow share that with the larger channel.
I've shared it already, yes.
Wonderful. And they have a free version. And essentially, it's my understanding that even though the free version does not allow you to run fabrics, because this is built with a open source license that they kindly granted me for this project, that you should be able to run it anyway. If not, I think the entry level license is $60 a year or something. Anyway, but you essentially get 3 aspects for free with this free license. And again, it's my understanding that this would count as one of those. You're welcome to build it yourself. Again, it's running, the tool itself is running in this from this GitHub repo. So I can share that with Mark as well.
Oh, yes, perfect. Yeah.
And anyway, you're welcome to download it, build it yourself. And I largely just keep this the repo itself updated with the latest versions as they release them themselves. But otherwise, I just have a bunch of instructions on here of how to use this. But again, it's pretty straightforward. Install the NuGet package, add the using statement that it's going to introduce, and then add the one line of code to it, and you're done. Rebuild your project, and everything will be implemented as expected. Any questions? Oh, no, one more thing. Finally, if this is not something that works for you, we're also looking at building out source generators that will do this and other things that the community has requested, but that will likely show up in 1.16 and later. So not this coming release, but the next one. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, this project may be useful for you.
Thank you, Whit. Yeah, that was actually my first question. So are there any alternatives next to this? But that's already on the list. All right.
Yeah. So there's a PR in Dapr.NET SDK repo that implements a proof of concept. Because it's implemented as a source share instead, I want to spend more time fleshing it out before we just merge it. And as we're in a code freeze for 1.15, that will just have to wait until the next version.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. Yeah. Now I really like this idea in general, right? Because it's one of the sort of yak shaving things you need to do to get stuff working, right? But it's not a very intuitive way maybe to do that. You need to register all these workflows and activities. It's a bit of a nuisance maybe. I understand why it needs to be done, but it would be great if we can skip that step completely. So
absolutely, absolutely keep you from making silly mistakes that just take one thing off your plate. Some of the other ideas we've been looking at are ways to implement an analyzer, for example, that will identify whether or not you have injected something into one of your workflows or activities that you otherwise failed to register in DI. That's a little bit more elaborate and cumbersome, but again, we've got a list of both source generators and analyzers that we think would be really useful. And so it's definitely something we're looking at, kind of building on the work that Philip put together, generating actors in, I want to say that was 1.14 or 1.13.
Right.
So we're definitely looking at more ways that we can use these generators to automate some of the SDK implementation.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think it will be real beneficial to the developer experience in general if you can get a little bit of nudge to help you use the SDK properly. So that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks, Whit. And there are no other questions, but I've shared the repo and also the link to the PostSharp one. So I'm hoping that people will try it out and give it a spin.
Wonderful. As usual, if there are any questions, feel free to ping me on Discord. Always there.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll share the link to Discord later. But all of or let's say most of the maintainers are very active on Discord, so that's the place to be for questions. Thanks a lot, Whit.
Yeah, take care.
All right, let's continue with the next part, and that's the State of Dapr survey. We also mentioned this previously, but the State of Dapr is really a great opportunity for you to share your feedback. How are you using Dapr? What kind of technology stack are you using? What kind of maybe issues do you have still with Dapr? What do you think you are like? What is the next best thing for Dapr that you want to use? Are there maybe like new APIs you want to look into? So all of these things are captured in the State of Dapr survey. The survey is still open. I'll also include a link in the description later, but it's this pages.diagrid.io because they're sponsoring the survey, State of Dapr survey. So I think it's the best way to give like direct feedback to the project about how you're using it. So please, if you're using Dapr either in production or just a proof of concept, please fill in this survey. Right, moving on to the community show and tell, which is probably the largest section of this community call this week. First up, there's a big event happening next week. It's the Diagrid Launch Week. And in that launch week, there'll be like 3 main events. And the first one is on Tuesday. So that is the Dapr 1.15 celebration event, where we are like celebrating the Dapr 1.15 release. It's probably it's not likely that Dapr 115 will be released already on that date. That will probably happen a bit later, but we will definitely share all of the new APIs and updates to APIs and actually demonstrate them. But there definitely is going to be like an RC that you can try out by then. And then on Wednesday, there's going to be a hands-on Dapr workshop on Dapr workflows. So again, Whit was also talking about Dapr workflows. So it's definitely a very hot topic to be able to code your workflows. And I think Dapr is an ideal way to use like Drupal execution in your applications. So yeah, if you want to get some hands-on experience, please join this workshop on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, there's going to be a webinar on Diagrid Catalyst. So that's how a serverless way of using the Dapr APIs. And in this case, it will be focused on AWS, but it will also like highlight the latest features on the Catalyst there. So if you want to join that, please use this registration link, diagrid.ws/launchweek. Right, so then there were like quite a lot of blog posts written over the past weeks. I think the major one, of course, is that Dapr is now a graduated project within CNCF. That's really a major milestone, and a lot of stuff has been written about it now. Of course, his first blog post is written by Mark Vossel and Ron Snyder, so the two co-creators of Dapr. So definitely have a look at that blog post. There's like an official post from the CNCF itself about the graduation, and then a lot of other news publishers, tech news publishers also picked up on this. So for instance, there's an article on the TechCrunch, on the News Tech, and many more. I didn't list them all because I think it would be like 3 pages of a blog post about the Dapr graduation. But yeah, it's definitely like a big step, right? So if you were still like in doubt if like Dapr is like a mature and good product to use in your applications, I think you can definitely say yes now because it's a CNCF graduated project. Then I wrote a blog post about the Dapr Media Program, the community program to celebrate community excellence. So please have a read of that, and you can nominate yourself if you're very active in the community to become a Dapr Media. Then Saifeddin Raji wrote an article about microservice development with Dapr on AWS EKS. Definitely have a look there if that's your tech stack. And Simon Bernard wrote an article about testing workflows. So again, more workflow content. Definitely a very hot topic. Then there's also a lot of videos, and that's also due to KubeCon and App DeveloperCon and Platform Engineering Conference, because yeah, there was a lot of Dapr-related content during KubeCon. Of course, the first video that I want to share is the Dapr graduation video by Mark Vossel and Ron Snyder. Definitely have to have a look there because they also talk a bit about the history of the project. Then the Platform Engineering Day was Hugo Smitter from FICO talking about how they are using Dapr. Hugo Smitter also was presenting at DeveloperCon about how FICO is using Dapr. Then with Waldo, who was just talking about the Dapr workflow, also did a session about building real-world applications with Dapr. And then Jon Snyder, one of the Dapr co-creators, was talking about the Gen AI APIs and distributed scheduling and all of the new stuff that's happening in 1.15 and beyond. And finally, we had Cassie and Arthur, two Dapr maintainers and contributors, talking about the job triggering with the distributed scheduler, also quite new in Dapr. But there are more videos. Going too fast now. So there was also a Dapr-related session at WasamCon by Ingenierie from Pulumi, and I think those were the Dapr sessions from KubeCon at DeveloperCon. Then I found quite a lot of other videos on YouTube. So one of them was the presentation I did at the Copenhagen Developer Festival a couple of weeks ago. That's now published online. Then Jonas Juselius, a big Dapr fan, did a session about F# and Dapr, building microservices. Then we had Florian Lenz talking about Dapr, doing like a very quick introduction. So this is in German. So if you're speaking German, then this is the video for you if you want an introduction to Dapr. And finally, we had Wilco Burgraaf talking about sustainable decision making with .NET and Wasm that's also using Dapr. So quite a lot of video content on Dapr everywhere. Then regarding social media platforms, Dapr is now on LinkedIn. there was already a Dapr group already for quite some years, but somehow we never got around to making like a sort of company page for Dapr. And a lot of other CNCF projects had such a company page, and now Dapr also finally has this page. So that makes it much easier now to mention Dapr in your posts. So please do that if you're working with Dapr and you're sharing something on LinkedIn for Dapr. Please mention this Dapr page, because then I can actually highlight some of the content during the community show and tell. But also please follow this page, right? Because I actually want to share the future community calls also via this Dapr page or Dapr profile, but I can't do it now because you need like a certain size of page, or you need a certain following on LinkedIn. So I definitely would like you all to follow this page. So next time we can also cross live stream from this LinkedIn page. Okay. Another thing, if you are maybe on Blue Sky, so a lot of people are moving like from Twitter/X to Blue Sky. So we also have like a Dapr profile on Blue Sky now, already like 242 followers. So that's going quite well. So maybe you haven't seen it yet, but please follow Dapr there as well. So we'll share all of the community call information, news, videos on that platform. Then finally, some social media messages. Again, I skipped most of the QCon related stuff because there was a lot of posts on there. What's very interesting is that Mark Vossel announced that Dapr has been included as a finalist in software development for Foundry. So I'm very curious if you're going to win it and when we're going to win it, but please click this link. I'll share all the links also in the description later. Then a lot of messages about some other events. So one of the Dapr meteors, so Wilf Lida, was at Ignite. He shared he was doing a Dapr and Radius presentation there. That was great. And some people like mentioning Dapr, giving like a Dapr introduction on LinkedIn and sharing some links there. And so people are being very happy with the observability part in Dapr and sharing some memes. I mean, memes are always good. So please keep doing that. Right, then finally on Discord. So Whit also mentioned Discord. So Discord is the place to be if you have any questions about Dapr, or maybe you're like a Dapr Pro user and you want to share your experience, then you can actually help out there and help answer some questions. I just want to highlight like some people there. So thank you, Oli, Whit, and Oisin for helping out in the workflow channel, because they've been very active over the last weeks, actually helping out lots of people. So thanks for that. And shout out to Cassie, because she was helping out in the jobs scheduling channel, answering some questions there. Right, and then finally, if you want to be more involved in the Dapr community, there are lots of different ways to do that. So this page is the dapr.io/community page, which was recently updated. So of course, it mentioned Discord, and there's also a link to how to become a Dapr meteor. Well, you're already watching one of our community calls, so that's pretty clear. But for instance, we also have like a Dapr template. So if you want to give a presentation about Dapr, either like internally at your company or at an event, there's a presentation template in the Dapr docs, and that you can find here, and makes it much easier to give Dapr presentations. You can also collect a lot of different Dapr badges. You can contribute codes, you can contribute to documentation, or you can also help out on the website, but also help out on Discord or give talks and write blog posts. For all of these things, you can get a virtual Dapr badge. And of course, all of the social media profiles are mentioned on this page as well at the bottom. So that's now including LinkedIn and also Blue Sky. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to become part of the community, and I definitely welcome you all to become more engaged with us. So finally, since you're watching this, you're definitely a Dapr community supporter, so feel free to claim this badge. So that's the only thing you have to do. Just watch this and claim the badge. And with that, it concludes this community call. So for the next one, we are not doing a community call in 2 weeks. It will be in 3 weeks. And that's because we're also doing the Dapr 115 celebration event 1 week before. So the next community call will be on December 18th. So please mark your agendas. I will also update all of the events. It's already mentioned in the Dapr community repo where we schedule all of the events. But I'd like to see you on December the 18th. Bye, everyone.